And so God said, you're going to be the voice because you can tell the story.
Right.
So December, I put in, it was 19, the 86 legislature, and got a chance to meet with the state representative, told him my story. And somebody brought to my attention, man, he said, man, you know what, Steve, man, you got this bill off the ground in Black History Month. I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
We started in January, but it didn't become live until February 19th, which was the day I got called to preach. And they said, well, now you did this part. Now you got to do this. You got to do this. Harry, for six, from January 2019 up till May 2019, I was back and forth to Austin. I was speaking on behalf of those two. I became the voice of the 277,000 who couldn't speak.
Absolutely.
And spoke over and over and over, told the same story with the same passion. And on June, I think it was June 2nd, somewhere around there, the governor signed off on that bill and made it a law effective immediately. Yes. And what that said is children who have parents in prison was not on the Texas Education Agency's list of at-risk students who are dropping out of school.
Absolutely.
So you're going to tell me that children who have parents in prison are not at risk of dropping out of school? I disagree with that. They created that in 2010. 1990, they came back in 2010, updated, and they still didn't add it. What they told me was that's intergenerational incarceration setup.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because if you're gonna give a man's a husband 99 years and they left the kids behind, who's gonna help take care of that family?
Absolutely.
That family is gonna clam up, not gonna say anything, and they're gonna suffer in silence.
Yes, they are.
And so, with that being said, 13 indicators. Now there are 14 indicators, which says children that has a parent in prison, they now are at risk of dropping out of school. So generation after generation is going to be impacted by this state law. So what that means is they're going to receive counseling, they're going to receive guidance, they're going to get an aftercare program. Parents can get involved with after school programs and to help them go through this process until that loved one is made it back home.
Wow,
that's how we reduce recidivism and eliminate intergenerational incarceration.
Because one man made an adjustment. I got to keep saying it to sink in. Because one man made an adjustment. One man made an adjustment. And because this one man made an adjustment, it has impacted as a whole, the whole state of Texas. I want to make this as plain. I want to make it as plain as possible. So when I say this all the time, we have to soar because there are people that are connected to our lives that need to soar. And the people that need to soar, they cannot soar if we don't make the necessary adjustments in life. So think about it this way. If you never made the adjustment, what are we sitting on here talking about today? What about all of those families that have been touched? What about all of those children that have been saved? I think, what was your recidivism rate? It was one of the best in the state of Texas, like
it was
90 what?
Yeah, the success rate had got up to 93.7%. So it was less than double-digit recidivism. Actually, it was like 13. Let me take that back. It was 13% recidivism rate. So 87.5% did not reoffend over a 2 to 3 year period after coming through our program. And that was 12 weeks of life skills. And on top of that, Harry, and go back to Jesus increasing in Jesus.
He said kept increasing.
Kept increasing. So now, before, in the midst of that, I said, okay, now we're going to change the 12-week program to a 12-month program.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if a child has a dad that's doing 5 to 10, or a mom or a daughter, that spouse is left or grandma is back left, uncle, they're raising the kids. then now they got a place they can come every week, just like church, every
Yes.
week for the next 12 weeks, 12 months, and have a support system in place that could help them deal with what they were dealing with.
A system.
Yeah, just like they have systemic racism, and I got a systemic program in place that's going to constantly be there. Actually, it's the law that's a systemic law, if I can say it that way.
We can say it that way.
And guess what, Harry? A year later, 2 years later, I followed up with it. I wanted to make sure.
Right.
And I followed up with them, and that law is still in effect. You can't change it.
You can't
Why would
change it.
you change that? You can't change it. You can't amend that. The only way you can amend it is now you can add some money to it.
Bingo.
That's the next step.
That is the next step.
You can't go back and what would it say to you? What would it say about an individual, a man or a woman that would go back? Oh, we need to get rid of this law.
Right.
That's going to say something.
Yes, it is. Yes,
when you have 109 prisons in the state of Texas, 144,000 inmates last time I counted.
Yes.
And all they're doing is breaking ground on more prison to fill up with our kids.
Yes.
And then you have this zero tolerance in the school to prison pipeline in place. Man,
yes.
I had to increase.
We had to
knowledge and adjust to what was happening in front of me. And I had it. It would be tragedy had I not done anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had to sacrifice my life, my family, school, all of that. And God blessed me to go back to school and finish.
Yeah.
All I paid for was they gave me a full scholarship to come back and finish.
Brothers, are you men?
I couldn't go, Harry. I could not go back to school, man. I had a daughter that had a congenital heart disease, one of my triplets. And man, I had thousands of dollars of medical bills I had to pay.
Absolutely.
So I had to put that on hold. But the adjustments I had to make while I was in the trenches, man, ain't nothing like being in the trenches, man.
Nothing.
Learning what God wants you to do and knowing it's God leading you.
Yeah.
To do it and then get people like you on my side.
Man, let's go.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Because of an adjustment. I'm gonna keep saying it until we get it. I'm telling you, if you're watching this, it's not by accident. Hear me. There is an adjustment that you need to make. And we're primarily, this month, the focus is manhood, but it doesn't matter who you are, whoever's watching it, this message is for you. I'm telling you, make whatever the adjustments. And let me say this, you know what adjustment you need to make, right? And I got to do some rewinding now. So he talked about Crockett, Texas. So, that's in my backyard. I'm an East Texas kid. So Crockett, we were very familiar with Crockett. I remember when I first met Steve and, we were connected and he said, hey man, why don't you go down to Crockett with me? Now, you just heard him share his experience. I've never been. I'm like, okay, he said, hey, TYC, we're gonna go down. So I'm like, cool. And like, he not lying. We left at 5 o'clock in the morning. Man, we go down, we talk all the way down. When we hit the campus, the people there, what struck me was their response to you, their excitement when you got there with the team. So I was okay. And man, when we went in there with those kids, and man, when the ministry broke forth and to see the impact, I was like, yeah. I said, I know I have to be connected to this man. That's the first thing. There's a connection there because there are some similar things that I want to do that's in my heart, right? And then that was the first thing. The second thing was this. You had already told me about your program on the north side. I said, I'm like, the state of Texas is in trouble. You finna get the whole state. This program, the whole state needed it. Now I know at that time you were just on the north side. And sure enough, man, you begin to blow up. And when we talk, it's like, shit, man, you ain't telling me nothing I don't already know. It's already fulfilled. But all of it came from an adjustment. And I'm gonna keep saying it over and over. Now watch this. Now watch this. Now we're talking about manhood. This is the word of God. There's nothing deep, but God says, I searched for a man among them who would build up a wall and stand in the gap before me for the land so that I wouldn't destroy it, but I found none. And so I say to men this, the destruction that we see in our families, the destruction that we see in our communities, schools, wherever you look, you see it. I'm telling you, there's a direct result. And you use the word pipeline, school to prison pipeline. There's a pipeline between the L's that we see in our community and when men aren't in place. Yeah. When men are not somewhere that can build up a wall and stand in the gap, we're going to continue to see the destruction that we're going to see. All we have to do is make the adjustment. Now, this is one man talking, and look at the impact. Now, am I saying your impact is going to be his impact? No, I'm not. But whatever impact you should be making, you need to be making it. We have to make the adjustment. Go ahead, Steve. I just have to keep iterating that in, guys. You have to make it and make it now.
It is amazing that you said, because my favorite scripture just come, what you just said. Now it says, if the Lord delights in a man's way, he'll make his steps firm. Though he stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand.
Yes, sir.
That was and is and will always be my favorite scripture. Mm-hmm. Reason being is, he says, if, which suggests it's a strong possibility he may be talking to you right now. Mm-hmm. If you make the adjustment right now, I will take pleasure in seeing you. And though you make a mistake or two, I got you.
Right.
You know, when David he could have killed Saul
at any time.
He went down there. I always say, Doc, he put some old stinky drawers down there right next to him and left.
Yeah.
And the next day he said, look, man, you see them old stinky drawers I put down there? Mm-hmm. I put them there. Mm-hmm. I could have killed you last night, but I didn't. Because God said, don't touch the anointing. Man, when you start obeying God, at least trying to obey God, if the Lord delights in a man's way, he'll make his steps firm. Though he stumble, he will not. Man, Harry, I had no degree. I had barely made it out of school. I was raising a family, and I'm very translucent right here. This was my third marriage.
Wow. Talk, Steve.
My first marriage, I was 6 months, second probably 8 months, state of confusion, didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to have a family, but I hadn't made the adjustment yet.
Right.
And then once I made the adjustment and I started praying for my wife, I prayed for her for 2.5 years. This October, it'd be 24 years we've been married. Because I made the adjustment. And we've raised our children. In the midst of raising children, then I went to school and doing ministry, running a board. Man, I was stretched.
Right.
But God filled me and gave me the energy and everything that I needed to get it done.
Right.
And so now I'm in a situation now where I can be a blessing to others, and certainly going to be to you.
Absolutely.
Your ministry and to the brothers that are listening to, man, just know that you can do it. You don't, no matter what you go through,
right?
What God has stored, it just make the adjustment.
Make the adjustment.
Stay committed to it.
Yeah.
And you can do great things and probably greater things.
Greater.
Not necessarily. You might be the one that come up with a cure to kill cancer.
Yeah.
You just never know, man.
Greater.
You just never know. All you need to do is jump, get in where you fit in,
right?
And keep moving. Forget those things which are behind you and press on to what's before you.
Wow. Steve, man, what do you say to the brother watching? And he's like, yo, man, that's really inspiring. It's heartfelt. Like, I want to make some adjustments. Like, man, where do I start? How do I make the adjustment? I know you and I talking, and we're at a different place in life, but to the guy that's sitting where we sat those 25, 30 some years ago, Steve, what do you say to him? How does he start? What would you say some of the first steps? Now, I know you've given some steps while you talk, but now I'm just talking about, man, like there is in the earth a rise when we look at suicide. I'm talking about the physical, where people take their lives, right? I'm not necessarily talking about physical suicide. I'm talking about life suicide, where you just give up on life. You commit suicide on just living. You commit suicide on believing. You commit suicide on you just stop dreaming. You commit suicide. It's like, I check out. So I'm here physically, but my kids can't depend on me, my wife, whatever. I've committed suicide. And I know there are men that are listening. Maybe they can't say it. I'm saying it for them. What do you say to those men to say, hey man, there's hope. There is hope for you. What do you say to them?
You're right, man. There is hope. There is hope for all of us, man. Don't lose sight of the fact that God said that our hope shall not be cut off. Okay. Yeah. My first thing would if I go back and think about me, is I have to make up in my mind that I want to do something different.
Yeah.
You got to make up in your mind that you can do something different. Okay. And so, make up in your mind, and then you got to get connected. You got to get connected with somebody. You may have a neighbor. It might not, sometimes it may not be the family. It may be a neighbor. It
Absolutely.
may be Mr. Johnson down the street, or Miss Anderson. I had a lot of older people in my life back then that I would ask questions, and they said I was an old soul.
Right.
Always, I just figured I would learn something from them.
Absolutely.
And so, changing my mindset, getting connected with the right people, and then just stay on it.
Yeah.
Text says, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child, but when I became a man, and look, being a man ain't what's between your legs.
Wait a minute, what did you say? What did you say, Steve?
That doesn't, what's between your legs because that don't necessarily make you a man. Now that might physically say you're a man, but that doesn't make you a man.
Absolutely.
It's what's in your heart and your mind, and where you're going is what really makes you a man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm
going forward and I'm going up.
Yeah.
And if I can grab somebody else to come along with me, I'm gonna help them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if I can push somebody that's in front of me, keep going, go. Man, find you a good mentor or coach and get connected. If you need counseling, that's one thing. Another thing here.
Let's talk about it. That's where I'm going with it.
That's one thing that Black people struggle with, and I'm sorry, especially us.
Yeah.
Is we think that if you go see a counselor, you crazy.
Right.
Or you don't have no money.
Right.
Or the Lord gonna work it out.
Right.
Oh yeah, the Lord can work it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take a little money.
Yeah.
Sometimes it don't.
Right.
But man, if you go get a counselor and be able to talk to somebody, and the text says, I think it's in Jeremiah, the word will tear down, destroy, overthrow, but it builds and plants.
Mm-hmm.
Take out the old stuff and put in new. You can't put new wine in old wineskin.
Talk about it.
You can't put all that. You got to get that old stuff out of you, man.
Yeah. And
begin to put new stuff in you. It's like my grandpa used to always have me go out and do clean the flower bed.
Man.
I'd go and pick out the weeds. I used to love doing it, man, because I used to love to see what happens afterwards. And what it looked like. And how it changed.
Right.
And so I would go pick them weeds out, man. I'd be out there early because it made him happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted him to be proud of me.
Absolutely.
And so I'd clean that, and then I'd get that dirt, and all we do is dig it and turn it over.
Yes, sir.
And when you dig it and turn it over, man, and you step back after you've finished,
looks good.
And it just makes everything looks good.
Yeah, it looks real good.
And so you got to get those weeds out of your life, turn over that stuff, and watch things grow.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
again,
powerful, man.
I'm not a theologian. I'm not a scholar. I'm just a straight up brother. Look, I'm a man of prayer and a man of faith.
Absolutely.
I wish I could, lay it down and be a Ralph West or, all of it. I'm a Stephen Holloway.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
me. And that's
Right.
what God has given me to do in this
Mhm.
world. And he has done some great things through this instrument. And I give him all the glory for it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, man. All of my guests that have been coming on, one of the things God told me when I did this is the New Balance is about us. We have to share our story over our stigmas. I don't care who you meet, all of us, we have whatever that stigma is. Now, you're either gonna allow that stigma to hold you, or you gonna get on top of that stigma and let that stigma move you. And you allow it to move you by sharing it, right? It seems like the recipe for success, I used to think it was all of these real, just so deep things. But when I began to get around others and begin to study and begin to learn, man, it's not the deep things, man. There are some practical things that you need to be, and you ain't got to have no title behind it. You don't have to live in a certain place. You don't have to have certain money. Man, it's just some practical things that we need to do as men, right? And say what you want to say, man. Being a man is up under assault.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons it's under assault is because we haven't answered the bell in terms of the fight, right? My book getting ready to come out is called Fight Night, and I love boxing. Oh my God! And my family, I love boxing. It don't even have to be big names. If two guys get in the ring, it's something about that 3 minutes of those two guys in there playing chess and checkers with each other, man, trying to outwit one another. And the whole thing of it is you can get in there and just be in there, you're going to fool around and get knocked out. But being in there defending, being on the offense, being on the defense, and that's not the greatest part of the fight to me, because they're the guys that can box, they have a skill that the rest of us, we really don't have that particular skill set. But it's not so much the boxer that I love. My favorite part of the fight is watching the trainer and the cut man outside the ring, because they have a perspective of the fight that the fighter doesn't have. And so when we look at men or manhood, you have men that are in the ring. Some are fighting, some are not. And doesn't matter about the round. What matters is after the 12 rounds or the 10 rounds is that the referee holds your hand up as the champion. Your hand will never, ever be held up if you don't have a trainer or a cut man. And I see men who do not have a trainer or cut men, but yet they in the ring of life trying to have this fight. And I'm telling you, you're not going to win. Go ahead, see, I see you want.
I'm gonna have to close with this, man, because I got
close with it, man.
I'm gonna have to close with this. I'm reminded of a fight, between the heavyweight champion and a midget.
Oh wow!
And when they finally got it all together and got in the ring, the champ, he came at him. He hit him, he knocked him down.
Mm-hmm.
He got back up, and the midget went back to the corner, and the trainer and them said, you want me to throw? He said, no, all I need is one more round. So round 2 come in, and he went out there and he and the champ took a few, and then he hit him again. He fell down. And this time when he hit him, man, his eyes closed. And he went back to the corner, and the trainer, and they said, you want to? He said, no, man, one more. Oh, give me one more. And man, something deep down inside of that midget got a hold of him. And when they rung that bell, he ran out there and he wham! And swung as hard as he could, and he hit the champion. and knocked him out.
Mm.
He went back to his corner, and the people came over to talk. So he said, the commentator said, "Hey man, tell me, what was it that, how was you able to do that?" And he barely opened up his eyes, and the midget said to him, "All I needed was one more round." For some of the brothers out here right now, all you need is one more round.
One more round.
When that crack cocaine had me, all I can say, I just need one more round. Let me
Just
get
one
out.
more round.
Get out. When I lost my marriages and people messed over me, and all I said is I need one more round.
That's it.
And I gave it all that I had, and God became the champion of my life.
My. Man, listen, brothers, man, get that. Listen, make the adjustment. Make the adjustment. The greatest fighters, some of the ones we say the best of all time, the one they deem the best, Muhammad Ali. If you watch his fights, if you're true boxing, true boxing. Muhammad Ali was in some slug outs, but because he knew how to make the adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
One of his greatest fights is called what? Rope-a-dope.
Yep.
He couldn't fight George Foreman mano a mano. He didn't have the guns to. So he did what? He made the adjustment and he roped the dope and let him tie himself out. And look, I don't know how long ago that was, what, in the 70s?
Yeah, man.
And here we are in 2021 still talking about the fight because of an adjustment. So, man, we can go on and on and on and on, man, talking about making the adjustment, man. Hopefully, I want to encourage you this particular episode. I want you to go back when you watch it, but I want you to go back. This was very meaty. We shared a lot of great things, but Steve specifically shared some things. I myself going to have to go back and listen, because when you make an adjustment, if you think of and claims adjuster, when they go out, listen to see the damage. Claim adjusters only come out when there's damage. They only come out. You only need a claims adjuster when there's been some damage. And I'm telling you, in Manhood, there's been some damage. When the claim adjuster comes out and they see the damage and they tell you what it's going to take, either one or two things are going to happen. You can either fix this or this right here is a total loss. And listen to me, man, whether you're being told this can be fixed or if it's a total loss, either way, make the adjustment and move on. It doesn't make sense to go another 10 years with this total loss in this particular area. Man, move on from it and make the adjustment. Steve, man, I have so truly enjoyed this time with you, man. And we know this is the first time of many more to come. I don't want to say we got, that's improper. We have so much work that we're going to be doing. And I'm telling you now, if you're watching this, a city near you, community near you, we coming. Remember, I told you, we're coming. We're coming. There's work to do, and it's a good work. And Steve, I love vision and I love purpose. And I could even be so transparent. It probably was maybe year 2, year 3. I don't know specifically, but it had to be year 2, because I think that was the first time I came out to the north side and saw your program. When I saw your program, I knew then, I didn't know what all would look like, but I knew then that we would be sitting down doing this type of thing, working together to help people, man. And it's incredible to see the maturation process of how it come together. So, man, I'm just truly honored that you're partnered with me, man. And like I say, we're family for life, man. And we are definitely concerned, and definitely what you did to represent us. I had a chance to look at it. And when I saw you there, I didn't see you. I saw all the families that you was fighting for.
Yeah.
I saw every family that came before you, that's going to come after you. When you sat in that chair and you were talking, I said, look at all the families that's about to benefit because one man made an adjustment. I love you, man. And I really appreciate you. So you have any closing words, anything you want to share, man?
And just one more round.
One more round. Hey, man, you know, Steve, I'm going to use that. So when you hear me say, I'm going to give you your props. I'm like, my boy Steve said, you just need one more round, man.
Just one more round, man. Just know that you got one more round to go.
Right.
And in this round, this is when God becomes a champion of your life.
Absolutely. And I know we've been talking to men. I want to say to all my sisters, I have quite a few sisters that tune in, they watch it, and they've been watching the whole 2 months of this manhood. I want to say something to you as well. You know, we talked about fight night and in the fight, and he said it, you know, the corner said, do you want me to call a fight? And to call a fight, you know, you can call it, but if the fighters in there fighting, one of the ways you call it by throwing the towel in. And I want to say to your sisters, man, we appreciate you so much. Many times, if it hadn't been for you, we wouldn't even be able to do stuff. I know I couldn't be on this podcast without my best half. You understand?
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage all my sisters, if you're a mother, a wife, a daughter, auntie, grandmother, whoever you are, I'm just saying, don't throw in the towel. Trust me, God has heard your cries. And I promise you this, I can't tell you when or how, but I promise you there are going to be some adjustments made. So we appreciate your support. Listen, as we always say here, it's strength for today, sustenance for tomorrow. And it doesn't matter who you are, all of us, if you continue to live, there's always room for a new balance. It's your boy, H2O, your potential conditioner. Thank you. We appreciate you. And I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
Peace.